Welcome back to Memory Lane Media, where we journey together through the timeless stories of perseverance, ambition, and legacy. Imagine a man so wealthy that, at the height of his power, his fortune equaled 2% of the entire American economy. A man so generous that he gave away more money than any person before him. And a man so resilient that he lived to the remarkable age of 97, in an era when most men were fortunate to reach 60. That man was John D. Rockefeller. John Davison Rockefeller was born in 1839, in a modest home in Richford, New York. His father was a traveling salesman with little interest in family responsibility, often leaving young John and his siblings to the care of their strong-willed mother. From the start, Rockefeller's life was touched by hardship. He began working at a young age, laboring under the hot sun, digging potatoes for mere pennies an hour. At that time, millionaires were so rare in America that you could count them on one hand. No one could have imagined that this boy, earning 4 cents an hour, would one day become one of the richest men in history, building a fortune worth over $1 billion, a staggering sum in his time. And yet, Rockefeller's rise was not simply about wealth. His story is one of persistence, discipline, and vision. Even as a boy, Rockefeller displayed what biographers would later call the genius of persistence. One day, he spotted a wild hen wandering near the family farm. His mother urged him to catch it. For 2 days, he tried and failed. But instead of giving up, young John kept watch. At last, he caught not only the hen, but also her chicks, bringing them home. This became his very first business venture. He raised the chickens, sold the eggs, and carefully saved every penny in a chipped cup. That little flock marked the beginning of a lifetime dedicated to enterprise, savings, and reinvestment. Years later, at his vast estate in Pocantico Hills, Rockefeller still kept flocks of hens as a personal reminder of his humble beginnings. Rockefeller was not the brightest student in every subject, but he excelled in mathematics. Numbers fascinated him, and he often said, "I am simply a man who loves figures. Study numbers carefully, and they will reveal truths and even hint at the future." By the age of 11, his father had abandoned the family, leaving his mother to raise the children alone. To help, John worked for a neighbor and saved enough to accumulate $50. Instead of spending it, he lent it out at 7% interest. When he saw how his money could grow without his own labor, he later said, "That settled it for me. I resolved that money would always work for me, not the other way around." This philosophy guided him throughout his life: money as a servant, never as a master. As a teenager, Rockefeller found work as a clerk in a Cleveland dry goods store. He worked diligently, advancing from bookkeeper to head accountant. But when his request for a raise was denied, he did something bold. He resigned and started his own firm with 2 partners. At first, Rockefeller's role was to manage the books. He was cautious, disciplined, and always saving capital. But soon, the oil industry caught his attention. In the 1860s, oil was a chaotic business. Wells were springing up across Pennsylvania, and fortunes were made and lost overnight. Many thought the industry was too risky, but Rockefeller saw opportunity. He invested not in the wells themselves, but in refining oil, a far more stable and profitable sector. His company grew rapidly, reinvesting profits to expand. Rockefeller's principle was like a snowball rolling down a hill. Profits reinvested created larger profits, which then created more expansion. One by one, he absorbed competing refineries until his company, Standard Oil, became the dominant force in the industry. By the time Rockefeller moved his headquarters to New York, he was already a billionaire. But unlike other tycoons who flaunted their wealth, buying yachts, building castles, and hosting extravagant parties, Rockefeller lived modestly. He was quiet, disciplined, and deeply religious. He believed wealth was a responsibility, not a license for indulgence. He once said, "I believe that every right implies a responsibility, every opportunity, an obligation, every possession, a duty." If Rockefeller had only been rich, his story would still be remarkable. But what set him apart was his philanthropy. At age 25, after recovering from an illness, he donated $1 million to medical research. That donation led to the creation of the Rockefeller Institute, which became one of the world's leading centers for scientific discovery. The institute attacked hookworm, malaria, and black water fever, diseases that ravaged entire populations. Its vaccines saved countless lives, especially in Asia, Africa, and remote parts of the world. In China alone, Rockefeller's foundation introduced public health initiatives that transformed communities. His generosity was staggering. Over his lifetime, he gave away more than $500 million, a sum that, adjusted for inflation, equals billions today. He funded universities, medical schools, scientific institutes, and even the restoration of great cultural treasures like Versailles and Reims Cathedral. And yet, despite giving away so much, his fortune kept growing, at one point increasing at a rate of about $100 every minute. Rockefeller's longevity amazed his contemporaries. In an era when life expectancy was low, he lived to 97, outliving nearly all his rivals. His secret: a calm temperament, strict discipline, and never rushing. He maintained the unusual habit of taking 5 naps a day. Even during moments of crisis, he would lie down for 30 minutes before making decisions. This patience and calmness not only preserved his health, but also guided his judgment. Unlike other industrial titans who burned out young, Harriman died at 61, Woolworth at 68. Rockefeller's careful, measured life carried him to nearly a century. Rockefeller's story is not without controversy. Standard Oil was accused of ruthless tactics, and in 1911, the US Supreme Court ordered its breakup under antitrust laws. Yet even broken apart, the pieces of Standard Oil became giants themselves. Exxon, Chevron, mobile companies that still dominate the global energy landscape. But beyond the boardroom battles and fortunes, Rockefeller left something greater: a legacy of philanthropy, discipline, and vision. He once remarked, "Every right implies a responsibility, every opportunity an obligation, every possession a duty." For Rockefeller, wealth was never an end in itself. It was a tool, one to be managed carefully, multiplied wisely, and given generously. John D. Rockefeller remains one of history's most complex figures, a titan of industry, a disciplined man of faith, and a philanthropist whose generosity reshaped science, medicine, and education. His life reminds us that persistence, discipline, and responsibility can build not only fortunes, but legacies that endure. If you found inspiration in Rockefeller's story, join us again here on Memory Lane Media as we continue exploring the lives of history's most remarkable figures. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so you won't miss the next chapter in our series 40 Success Stories. And now we ask you, what do you think is Rockefeller's greatest legacy? His vast fortune, or the lives he helped improve? Share your thoughts in the comments below.